Howdy everyone, Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. Thanks again for shooting in, joining a guy here for another Boots on the Ground video. And today we are at the old Calgary Pump House number 2, which is now a theater, Pump House Theater. I am just off of the corner of Pump House Road and 5th Avenue Southwest here in Sonalta. Apparently this thing was built in 1913, and it was the second of 2 old pump houses. The first was a little bit further downstream on the Bow River. This thing is just basically right on the banks of the Bow River. We'll have a look here in a bit. Supposedly the first one was built in 1905 and then torn down in the 40s. This one built in 1913, they say, according to the interwebs anyway. And then it was all but abandoned in 1948, and then I think in the 70s, early 70s, it was purchased and became a theater. So we're going to have as close a looky-loo as we can to this thing. And like I said, we're going to check out the Bow River in behind it as well. They're doing a lot of construction and renovation work here today. They have been over the summer. Not that I can tell to the interior or exterior of the building itself, but just sort of the landscaping. They're putting in new pathways, adding some trees, improving upon, some of the accessibility into it here, parking and so on. So yeah, we're going to have as good a look at this as we can and see what we can see. So stick around. I'll be right back.
About a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for a basement.
Beautiful, massive trees all around here. It's a big, huge park. There's a bunch of paved bike and pedestrian walking paths all along the Bow River here. So this area has been a green space around this pump house, apparently ever since it was a pump house, even before it was converted into a theater, a community theater. So not too far from my place and not too far from the old Sonalta School on the hill there, the old sandstone school up there with the beautiful cupola on top up there. But we've looked at that before. We're here to look at this here today. So as mentioned, a lot of construction going on around here, improvements. I do see a button on the front of this thing that I've never noticed before. Yeah, there you go. City of Calgary Historic Resource. It's funny, they put these buttons on to designate it as a historical resource or landmark or what have you, but they don't put a plaque with any dates on it. So you gotta kind of look online and cross-reference everything. They say this was built in a year, and the brick from this, they say, is local pressed brick from the brick burn brickyards that weren't far up the Bow River here. But they did it's not the biggest place, but they did a beautiful job with the pattern of the stacked brick up along the top there, as you can see. This is the south-facing side of the building, which they call the front. They did quite a nice job on there. And they've also done that sort of sunburst effect with the brick above all the windows here. Old wooden shutters over the windows. And apparently this over here, over the main doors, used to be a transom window that they filled in, which is kind of unfortunate, but be that as it may. But yeah, they did a pretty nice job making it look, a little bit fancy. I guess they had a bunch of extra time and materials and bricks and man hours to, make what's supposedly just an industrial building, a pump house, make it look as fancy as they could, right? Sure, why not? So all along the side here, this jut out with the main door, this is now the main entrance to get in and out of the place. And then all in behind there is all new additions that were put on throughout the decades here. So really the main body of the building, this must have been another big huge original door here, by the way. A lot of big windows. Why would you need a lot of big windows on a pump house to pump water, I wonder? But yeah, basically the original structure just goes to this corner here. Everything else is more modern build on it. A different type of brick and cinder block and all kinds of crap. Tell you what, I know they're not original, but I like these light fixtures on here too. I'm guessing those are from the 30s or 40s. Kind of neat. Yeah, they've paved a whole bunch of concrete, or poured it, I should say, poured a whole bunch of new concrete around here as well. So it's kind of hard to tell from this side, which is the east-facing side here. It's exactly going on with the brickwork, but they've stacked it in layers, receding layers. No sandstone on here. I kind of thought there was. I must be misremembering, or maybe it's a Mandela effect for me or something, but I always thought that this sort of sunburst pattern in the brick there was actually a sandstone header and not that brickwork, but I'm mistaken, I guess. You'll have to excuse the wind and the glare. It's quite windy today. It's not too chilly. It's about, I don't know, plus 10 or plus 12 Celsius. Not super warm, but the sun is shining, so, and that's all right. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get down this side of it here, the west-facing side of the building, because they've got it all fenced off. I wonder if I can get around to it from the back, because I can't see anything around here at all. Apparently there is a basement to this building. I don't see any openings, lower window openings that indicate that, but there is a basement, at least that's what I read online as well, and that's where a lot of the old equipment was that pumped the water, so on and so forth. Apparently they removed some of the equipment during the conversion into a theater, but some remains down in the basement there. I've been in this theater, but I've never gone down into the basement portion of it. So, I don't know. I'm not really seeing any evidence of a basement aside from this weird dual-headed J-pipe coming out. But I'm going to pause it here for a moment, and I'm going to see if I can get around to the back, which is the north-facing side, and to the opposite side over here as well, which is the west-facing side. So hold tough, I'll be back in just a moment. Right, I'm just on the paved bike path here. There's a lot of the trucks for the different contractors, natural gas and the city of Calgary, and so on and so forth. A bunch of the construction workers on their lunch break or something right now. So yeah, all this part here that we're seeing is all more modern additions, apparently. Although they did a nice job with the brickwork in terms of emulating some of it. They didn't do any of the stacking detail along the top, but they've kind of got this tiered recessed portion of the brick that they've copied from the original portion of the building. So that's pretty cool. You can see here the ground, the lay of the land, if you will, is very unusual. Kind of runs along here, then it dips down, then it goes up higher at the back, which is very strange. Some of these trees are massive, at least 150, 200 years old. I've got this portion fenced off too. See what I mean though? I'm up on a bit of a rise here, and then the ground just dips down about, I don't know, 1.5 feet or so, right along here. And that's where they've run all their watershed, their downspouts, and so on and so forth into this lower section. You'd think you'd want to channel the water away from your building as opposed to having it run along a trench or a ditch right up against the foundation of your structure. But hey, I don't know. I don't build stuff, I just scrutinize it. I was just about fixing to walk in here, but no, this is part of the construction site. There's no signs, but I know I'll get hollered at, so whatever. All right, let's continue moving along here down toward the river. See if we can see anything along the banks of the mighty Bow River. This is the main river that runs through the city. There's actually two rivers. There's the Bow River and the Elbow River. And there's a confluence where the two meet right at Fort Calgary, which isn't far to the east of from where I am right now. The Bow River comes from the west and flows basically eastward or east by southeast from the Rocky Mountains down through the foothills and then here into Calgary and then further along into southern Alberta. So they have what they call a stormwater outfall drain, basically right at the back of the pump house structure itself there. Sorry for the glare. So somewhere in here there's a stormwater drain that's amongst all these bushes somewhere. It's just dumping right into the river. So that's nice. Gotta like that. Kind of a footpath here. Let's see if we can see anything. Now we have had quite a bit of flooding here. The Bow River does flood, or at least if it doesn't flood, it gets really high. Once every 5 to 10 years or so. It was back in, what was it, 2016, 2015? Give or take a year or two, somewhere around there, that we had a pretty bad flood. And there was a few neighborhoods in Calgary that were evacuated, as well as some smaller cities and towns south of Calgary along the Bow that were evacuated because the water raised something like, I don't know, 12 feet in a day and a half, 2 days. There's the Bow River there. It's quite low now. Beautiful blue water. From, you know, the melted snow from the mountains to the west, over that hill. You can't really see them, but over that big hill there. Not really seeing much around here. Down in here a bit, let's see what's what. Looks like some hobos have been camping around here, making a mess. That's great. Thanks for that. Some wooden pylons or something driven in here. Just trying to prevent the erosion, I guess. See a lot of the driftwood that comes down, collects along the shoreline here. See much, just a bunch of big, huge boulders. Not these little stones I'm walking on, these big boulders here. in through here. It's like a wall along the shoreline here. Aha, so there's the storm drain that sign was alluding to. Looks like a modern concrete storm drain. Giant boulders everywhere. And they built this to help from the slippage, the slidage. Hey, somebody's built a little bench there. The guy could sit there and do some fishing. Do a little angling, huh? Yeah, that's not too bad. I have to remember that. Not seeing much else, just a lot of driftwood debris, massive boulders, and what looks like the remnants of an old stone wall along here in these bushes. Right in through here, and that's about it. Nothing else that's really unusual. We pause it here. I'm going to crawl back up this embankment and we'll keep poking around. I'll be right back. The size of this thing. Again, just to give you some scale. Good sized boulder. Another big massive one right over there too. Holy moly. How do these get here? Don't tell me that the river is carrying around these massive 500-600 pound boulders, is it? I don't think so. I mean, during the high water in the spring, what I'm walking on right now is actually submerged usually. Very interesting colorations or discolorations on this. It's another big mama too. This thing, oh, it's a hunk of concrete it looks like. Some old construction debris that they've chucked down here to, I don't know. They've done a lot of work to try to minimize the flooding. Flood abatement, is that what they call it? I don't know. Something like that. All right, I'm gonna head back topside. Give me a second here. Yeah, I can't get in there at all. They've got it fenced off, a giant perimeter. I guess they're putting in an addition to the pathways. They're adding picnic tables, lighting, beefing up the lighting in here. Unfortunately, this park at night can get pretty sketchy. So I think increasing the amount of lights that are here and just making the pathways a little bit better is probably going to help out with that. Maybe? I don't know. Probably not though, really. So yeah, I can't get really around to that west side of the building at all. Which is too bad because that's the part where they haven't poured any concrete and done any messing around on that side. I can't see jack squat. There's all the building permits and whatnot. They're going to be at it a while. September 12th is when they issued the permit. There's another permit here, August the 12th. So, who knows how long they're going to be messing around with this. Gonna try to get one more go around to that side from the front, a little further down, and if not, then I'll wrap it up here. So stay with me. I'll be back in just another moment here. Just making my way back to the front there. Got a nice shot of the chimney and that little cupola on top there too, from this angle. And that's sort of sawtooth or dog's tooth design in the brick there. That's again just where the original building sort of ended, and all of this stuff here is obviously more modern crap. Train going by there, the CP rail train. Sorry, the CPKC now. The Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad. Shout out to Water the Tree in Kansas City, Missouri. The Kansas City Southern, there it goes. Long way from Missouri, way up here in Alberta, that's for sure. Yeah, they got all kinds of signs. Pavement closed. Get the hell out of here. Buzz off. You know, so that's fine. Does anybody understand this sign? Pathway detour. In other words, turn around and go back the way you came, which isn't a detour. It's a turn around and go back the way you came. So that's that. They're really messing with me here today on this. So I think that is going to do it then. That's about as far as I can get on this thing. So I guess that is going to seal the deal here today for Frankie. New West Reset and the old Pump House number 2, now the Pump House Theatre on Pump House Road and just off of 5th Avenue Southwest in Sonalta, just a few blocks from my place. Normally on my day off, or when it's a decent day out, I travel a little further away from my main home base, but a little under the weather today. But I wanted to get out here and get some footage for you, and I wanted to make sure it was an interesting old world structure. I think this thing's a mud flooder that I think they repurposed into a pump house, and then it was repurposed again into a theater. And in a few more decades, who knows, it might be repurposed again into something else. But enough of what I'm blabbering on about. I'm interested to hear what you think of this old place. So as always, if you could let me know down in the comments below. Of course, do all the other stuff down here to help a fella out. And until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right? Cheers.